Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. He was the #1 U.S. stock market timer in the January 2020 edition of Timer Digest. Welcome back to the show, Mark.
My pleasure being here. Thanks, Jim.
Mark, how are the markets doing when we don't know who the U.S. president is yet?
Well, markets are in their own world. We always seem to tie, fundamental events to the stock market. Bad earnings come out for a stock, for example, and it'll still rally, or good news will come out for a stock and it'll sell off. So logic is not always the key ingredient in understanding the markets, and the markets generally don't like uncertainty, but they also like gridlock. And what's happening with the election right now, we really don't know which way it's going to go. I'm not so convinced that Trump still doesn't have a chance. I mean, the legal battles and all this confrontation could go on for many weeks, if not into the first quarter of next year. You just never know. Could end in 10 minutes, and I could be dead wrong. But the fact that apparently the U.S. Senate is still intact is a big plus, in terms of, the House doing something, crazy, like with a super inflated budget, in which they try to prevent successfully up to this point, for example. So, a little gridlock there sort of freezes Congress a little bit, so the market may like that. We still have other things going on out there. We've got a accommodative Federal Reserve. There have been, growth in earnings for companies comparing from last year to this year. There are certain sectors that have been taking off that are still doing well. We've mentioned this in previous interviews, like solar came down a little bit, now is coming back. U.S. cannabis stocks coming back. U.S. infrastructure still strong and rallying. So there's still a lot of places for managers to put money, and so I think they're thinking that the economy may still be okay. The COVID effect apparently is not that great here in the U.S., though we seem to have problems elsewhere in the world, particularly Europe. And again, the Fed's still accommodative. A lot of money is out there looking to invest. And also, just stepping back a bit, we've learned over the decades that no matter who sits in the White House, we still have bull and bear markets, and things don't happen so dramatically. Donald Trump was one candidate who made a lot of promises and fulfilled them right away. We don't know really what Biden's promises are. He doesn't really come out, nor has he really stated clearly all his positions, many of which may never even come into fruition. So, a lot of inaction, or, again, gridlock on his end for a period of time is what the markets like. They like to know that things are what they are, and, they don't see any dramatic changes ahead. So, again, you could have a bull market no matter who sits in the White House. Could a bear market, if the Republicans came in again. You just, you never know, and you gotta watch the tape. So, we're more traders, and I'm not sure that this rally is going to run all the way to year end, but we are getting a good one, and we're monitoring it day to day, and we're trying to get our foot in the door in a couple sectors and names that I just mentioned to you that are participating, and we'll pretty much go from there. And if things start to reverse here in the next couple of weeks, and we start selling, it looks like we're going to sell off into the end of the year, then we'll take a little bit more defensive position. But we're following the trend. The trend short term is up, and let's see how long it lasts. And if we have to reverse, we will. But I would again caution those in believing that whoever sits in the White House necessarily translates into a bull or bear market with so many other factors at work.
And Mark, before we go any further, do you still have your special offer on for our listeners?
Yeah, we sure do. It's at VR Trader. That's Victor Robert, VRTrader.com. And when you go to the order page for any of the newsletters and you see a little box for promo code, you enter 2020 half off. That's 2020 HALFOFF, and you get 50% off on any subscription you sign up for.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Value from success. Growth in discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications, patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, are we seeing any particular reaction from gold with the election kind of stalled in space?
Well, gold seems to follow the stock market. You know, he thought that it traverses inversely is, you know, not necessarily correct. And, you know, it was languishing a bit here, and as the stock market was to a certain degree, and just took off here with the stock market. So we're also watching the U.S. dollar, which is down today. So that's helping the commodity markets, and so much of those are priced in U.S. dollars, and the action has been positive. So, you know, whether the market continues to go up, the stock market goes up, and gold starts to redirect itself into a, you know, downward path for some reason, that I can't say, but it appears to me that the gold shares are sort of breaking out here of a little resistance range that they've been in for the last few weeks, and we could continue higher. There are some seasonal tendencies in the gold market over the years where sometimes you see a pullback into mid-December and then it takes off again, but the low could already be behind us here. And overall seasonal patterns say even if you have a low in mid-December, you tend to rally into the first quarter of the following year. So I would be positive, and whether that's an indication also for stocks, time will tell. But you asked me about gold, so I would say it looks okay here.
The U.S. dollar, why would it be down?
Well, one of the big reasons being cited is the heavy U.S. debt, and if there's a greater chance that we're going to start printing more money here and funding, a lot of social welfare programs ahead, that's not very constructive for the value of the currency. But the stock market seems to be ignoring that, so maybe it's coming, and maybe it won't be as great. Maybe if there's a rescue package passed, whether it's before the inauguration or after this coming year, it's tough to say, but apparently there's some package still coming out there, and we still have printed trillions of dollars as it is, so any incremental amount is not constructive for the dollar. So I would, if I have to rationalize the reason for it, that would be the reason. But, as a technician, I try to ignore the news a little bit here, and it looked like a bottom had come into the U.S. dollar. It rallied initially a few weeks ago, came down, started up again, and failed. So the technical action sure isn't very positive here for the U.S. dollar. We would have to break out above highs that we saw a few weeks ago, and that would reaffirm the uptrend. And of course, if that happened, that probably says the rally in gold is over, and possibly the rally in stocks as well. So you got to keep an eye on that U.S. dollar, but at the moment it seems to be supporting definitely the gold market, and it may not make sense that the dollar is down, but again, maybe it's related to a fear of more inflationary pressures coming from spending too much money.
Any influence from celestial cycles, like having a full moon on Halloween?
Well, we look at stuff like that, and you did get a little bit of a change in direction here in the market. Not exactly to the day, but you have these lunar cycles, and on the 30th, you did have a full moon, and that was a low in the Dow Industrial. So I've written about this for many years, that sometimes you see changes of direction within a day or so of a lunar cycle, and this goes back to studies that I've done way back to 1972, and being influenced by some of the market greats like Ian McAvity and others who have pointed out that there could be a correlation with the lunar cycle, and frankly, all markets, not just necessarily the Dow Industrials or the stock market. We see in the commodity markets on and off. So yes, on a short-term basis, it was a bullseye there, Jim. Let's see if we get a few more of those.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, 5 states legalized marijuana, or at least approved its medical use. Is that a big step in the U.S.?
It sure is. I'm writing about it, in fact, in my newsletter tonight. I've mentioned it briefly yesterday on a news article. Yeah, the U.S. cannabis market is really where the action is. We keep focusing on the Canadian names, and hopefully they will turn around. Canopy Growth is probably the greater beneficiary of the whole group, but we may see more in the other big names like Aurora and Freya and so forth as well. But we pretty much recommended an ETF. It's in our newsletter. If you subscribe, you'll see what it is. That focuses on the U.S. cannabis names, and that particular ETF, I believe, today is making new highs. And there's a few key names in the U.S. Cannabis market, dispensaries, and spreading their business all over the U.S. and expanding and making acquisitions that are doing pretty well. So, it definitely is a positive, and I had mentioned this in previous interviews that the play really was in the U.S. market, and that's really where it's been, and I think it certainly can continue. These companies are, in a strong growth cycle, and they've been making a lot of money and doing well. And the balance sheets are good, and they've been raising capital, and it's just the opposite of what we've seen, unfortunately, in some of the Canadian names that weren't able to pull off the revenue or the earnings that investors were looking for.
Any other areas that we should be paying special attention to right now?
I'm watching the bond market. I have a feeling that, in fact, we are officially on a sell signal on the bonds. I mean, I'm looking out a bit. It may not be today or tomorrow, but I think you're going to start seeing some higher rates as we move into 2021, 2022. And, the extreme low rates that we've seen, I don't think are lasting forever. I know there's talk about negative rates here in the U.S. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. If it does, it's probably temporary, but I just see a lot of pressure that the rates could turn, and the charts are telling me that as well. So I would say avoid the bond market.
Mark, before we go, can you maybe again remind people of the special offer?
Sure. At vrtrader.com. That's vrtrader.com. You go to the order page for whatever newsletter, and the promo code that you enter to get 50% off is 2020 half off. That's 2020 HALFOFF, and again, 50% off on any newsletter. Thank you for mentioning it.
My guest has been Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as vrtrader.com. If you have any questions for Mark or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.